Hello, I am Jamie, aka Brandoff, the off-brand Gandalf. And today I have a fun project. I'm going to do another random fist adventure. This time, though, a little bit of a twist. I am going to use as inspiration primarily RobotLadyErin's awesome TTRPG photography packs. You can download these free on itch.io at the links below. They are awesome. I appreciate the skill and artistic talent. And giving stuff away for free is awesome. Good for you, Erin. You also might remember her from the little actual play we did a while back. Also in the link below. I envision this as a one-shot. And as I often say, one-shots just need 3 scenes, right? Especially if you have more than 1 or 2 players. People tend to chew the scenery. And if you just give them a little snack, they'll go at it they'll fill the time, trust me. Rarely have I had too little content. Now I do run highly improvisational games, so that might be it. You know, I've got no problem coming up with stuff. The point is, though, you don't need much. You need maybe 3 good scenes. And each one of those scenes is going to be inspired by a different randomly selected photograph. I already picked these. There are 0 shenanigans. Do not worry. I think that's about it. It's been a while since I've done anything. So I'm going to be rusty, and that's okay. Everyone's entitled to be a little rusty. For the first scene, now see, here I don't even have, normally I would have like a mission brief. That's sort of like the adventure pitch you would share with your players. I'd have more than this, or I'd roll on like a random table. This is going to be like a lot more like weird and freeform though, because instead of using random tables, like the wonderful random tables provided in the Fist Ultra Edition book, I'm just going on vibes, man. I'm just looking at pictures. I'm just thinking of things. And the first picture, which I am going to reveal now, let's hope this works. Boom. That is beautiful and sinister and very folk horror, I think. Something about it. It's like the willowy, like white branches, kind of like spider webbing across. What will I make of this one? I think that this of course I'm thinking of the famous like Bigfoot photograph, cryptids and stuff. And I think this is also giving off some strong X-Files feels here. So yeah. And just for example, just to clarify, I should say, when I say 3 scenes, I don't mean like that's all there is. Typically, like I don't count like the mission quest giver kind of a thing, right? Like you don't really need to count that as a whole scene. It's obvious there's going to be some kind of presentation shown to the Fist mercenaries, or one of their cousins gives them a call. Yeah, connect the backstory, GMs, to the players. Yeah, keep them invested. The point is like that kind of like, hey, come out here and help us stuff. That doesn't really have to count as a scene. So we'll fill that in later. But I think that this should be like the first time that we're talking like boots on ground, guns at the ready. So I'm going to say that there was, let's just go monster of the week on this one. There was a weird sighting in the forest, mission brief. Whoa, no, nice. Oh, come on, caps lock. There was a weird sighting of a mysterious creature. I'm going to have to Kaiser Soze this because I'm, again, no random tables. let's see. I'm staring at a plushie of a very like nerdy know-it-all bunny. Let's just go with White Rabbit Falls. The urge for a game designer of my generation to just do Twin Peaks constantly is like a beast always nipping at my heels that I must outpace, because otherwise I'm just going to do Twin Peaks. So there was a weird sighting of a mysterious creature around White Rabbit Falls. Go check it out. Okay. Yeah. Fairly simple. I think I would like a victim here. Okay. So off the top of my head, someone's walking in the woods with their dog. I don't want to kill the dog, right? I don't like. So I will say that someone was walking their dog, and they never came back. Their dog did, but it seems traumatized. That's sad. We gotta help this dog. Something it saw spooked it out. So really, you're helping the dog in this one. Now the person who calls Fist could be the missing person's partner. It could be a relative, a friend, or neighbor. Normally, I would just say connect it somehow to the party. If this is just a one link in the chain of adventures you are running for your players, you could make it a previously encountered NPC or pull from someone's backstory. Or just say that, one thing I like to do that makes things feel kind of personal is I make like the missing person like a member of Fist. I've used that before. I think Halloween Submarine. It's pretty good. For one thing, if the missing person is alive, now you get to come up with a Fist mercenary. You get to maybe come up with a custom trait. That's always fun for like an NPC. Like what can they do if they're sort of on the same level as the players? The players all have these cool powers. You can use existing traits, or you could just go like hog wild and come up with something original. And plus it adds, so not only does it make it personal, like it's one of their own, it also, I think, raises the stakes, because this isn't just some like Joe Schmo who went missing. Like this person got taken out, even though they are like a powered person, like most of the Fist mercenaries are. Typically, though, like I'll try to do like new recruits. I did that last time, so I think this time I'm going to say a retired Fist mercenary. And also, like it's a very like old man thing, I think, to walk your dog in the woods, right? So that checks out. Named. Okay, so I'm looking at a box. Full disclosure, I'm looking at a box of facial tissues, and I'm thinking a cool Fist name and ability would have something connected to that. So tissue sounds too weird. I'm thinking paper. Paper. Maybe paper. What was their deal? Like, what was their cool ability? For that, I think we need to start going down here to NPCs. Now, as I like to do in my videos, I have NPCs. I call it the laws of NPCs: how they look, how they act, what they want, and what their secret is. So paper. And then parentheses, 67 years old, missing person. How do they look? It super doesn't matter. I'm just going to put Clint Eastwood in a blue rain jacket. How does paper act? So I definitely don't want him to act like Clint Eastwood, because that would be dull. And no one should act like Clint Eastwood. Jovial, practical, joker. Maybe we can tie that into his ability. Maybe paper could... Maybe paper could like... I'm going to add an additional thing here. Ability. Or I'll do trait. So his trait is paper crafter. Oh, paper crafty. And so paper was able to snip out little paper dolls that held hands and murdered people for him. You know, like those like little like it's like a kindergarten kind of a craft where you like cut like the little like doll dress ladies and they're holding hands. Only these ones would have like little knives and stuff. Little knives. So I kind of like that because like it's a weird ability. It's memorable. And it kind of makes sense that like this guy could be taken unawares, right? Like paper, you know, not only is he getting on in his years, if you're just going for a walk with your dog around your house, maybe you don't even bring the paper, you know, and the scissors. And plus, like, to me, I'm imagining this guy is more of like a careful planner. Like you would bring paper along on a heist or an infiltration mission or something like that, where you have to like slowly Far Cry your way around the perimeter and get inside the building. You know, you don't just like drop paper into like a battlefield and this poor guy's just like frantically carving little dolls out to help him. No. Paper is more of like a infiltration heist kind of a dude. So what does paper want? Paper, I don't know, man. Paper's retired. He's retired, man. Leave him be. Yeah, I mean, you know, he fought the good fight for years, and now he just wants to walk his doggo. Who has to be, the dog has to be like an elderly golden retriever, right? Because that is the best dog of all dogs. What's Paper's secret? I'm going to leave that blank for now. So this is just an idea, though. Just imagine a guy who looks like Clint Eastwood but acts like a goober. He kills people with little paper dolls, and he's kind of over it. You know, it's just like, you know, just he's going to leave it to the young folks. He put in a lot of good years. Okay, so what is really happening? I don't know yet. Who call if Paper's missing? Who calls? Who calls the folks in? I'm thinking Paper's got a hubby named Glue. I don't care. Quest giver. So let's say, what does Glue look like? I should probably be using random tables for this. Bum, 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 bum. I don't know. Instead of like drawing from an actor this time, although I'm tempted to say Oliver Platt. Oh, Christopher Lee is always an option. Let's leave that blank because I'm blanking on how he looks. Acts. Worried, obviously. Maybe angry. Like he blames, for some reason, he blames Fist for what's going on, right? Angry at Fist. Perhaps like they were told that like they would be safe here. They thought that like this was it, but it wasn't. Angry at Fist. Thought they'd be safe. Of course, you're never safe. Not in my games. Wants. This feels like, come on. He wants paper back. Doy. And secret. Again, I'm leaving this blank until I figure out like what is actually going on in this adventure. Trait. You know, I think there's actually like some kind of a glue trait in in fist. Let me see here. I'm going to temporarily take this away. I have no idea if this is all recording correctly. Like bond? Link. Touching someone's skin bonds their soul to yours when you take it. That's not bad. Because, like, not only are they married, their souls are linked, people. Come on. That's sweet. This would really change, like, a missing person case if one of them is linked to the other, right? For one thing, this could confirm that Paper is alive because Glue's alive. And if Paper took fatal damage, I mean, even though, like, in game terms, if two characters have different amounts of hit points, what's fatal for one might not be fatal for the other. I think especially since these are just like NPCs, and anytime you try to incorporate traits into an NPC is a little bit of like wishy-washy, you know, it doesn't exactly work, right? But it worked close enough. Okay, so let's say Glue and Paper, they were teammates. In this case, love did bloom on the battlefield. And Paper and Glue fell for each other. At some point, Glue bonded souls with Paper. And let's see here. So you may speak telepathically and share each other's senses. So I'm just going to like kind of rule that as NPCs, as the way that their link works is that he knows that Paper is alive, right? Because he's alive, even though he's like, maybe he's got some like horrible claw down his chest. The thing is though, Paper's alive, but like he's not responding to Glue's calls. I'm going to start writing this down. You can't just say this stuff. Okay, link. He's soul bonded with Paper. So this is good. This feels good so far. So I'm just going to zoom back up here. I'm just going to add like a scene 0, I think, to kind of like sum up some of the stuff that we've been talking about so far. So, Glue calls Fist for help. His hubby, it went missing. The elderly golden retriever. Did I spell that right? Good boy. Came back all upset and in doggo shock. Glue blames Fist, saying they were assured they'd be safe in the unassuming small town, White Rabbit Falls. But of course, if you're in an unassuming small town named White Rabbit Falls, there's a 100% chance of cryptids. We know this. Glue knows Paper. I'll put is pretty sure. Got to raise that dramatic question, folks. Glue's pretty sure that Paper is alive because he's only horribly wounded with claw marks as opposed to sympathetically dead. But Paper is not responding to Glue's calls. And then I'm just going to like do like a little note here. Note, Glue insists on staying home, which is like a good move. You know, call for help and then stay home in case the person arrives, you know. Just in case Paper shows up, sends the Fist mercs out on a path where Paper was walking. So scene 1 takes place once again. I'm gonna plippity plop that back up on the screen. Maybe I can kind of smush it. Okay, so looking at this, I see all kinds of cool, spooky details. I do appreciate the fact that there is looks like a puddle. I keep coming back to how spider-webby these trees look. I don't know if I want to do spiders, though. But what if there was like a trapdoor spider that was aquatic? Or what if they see something at the bottom of the puddle? Oh, that'd be weird. Like an optical illusion where, you know, from a few feet away, the puddle looks like super shallow. Like you wouldn't even look at it twice. But when you look down, it just like, there's like a car down there or like some kind of like a staircase leading down. Some kind of like a subterranean kind of a thing. It'd also be interesting if there was just something of papers like in there. Like the dolls. There could be like floating in the, oh, this would be sad. Floating in the puddle, there's a piece of paper and it looks like he started to like cut the dolls, but like he was interrupted. And there could even be like some blood splatter nearby. Yeah, that feels like a good investigation kind of a thing. But it also feels like we need more than just poking around for clues. Like if this is going to be a scene, like what would that look like? Like what, a tactical role for poking around for clues, or like the main thing you want in your scenes is interactivity, maybe a dramatic question, framing everything is something I like to do. And like multiple ways to do that. Here's what that could look like. Because as I showed you guys how to do these kind of adventures, it's never like, you know, this is the way to do it. This is just like a way to do it. And I show you how to start with nothing and just basically BS your way into a night of fun with your friends. And I find that like by breaking things down into steps, especially 3 steps is your magic number, it becomes a lot less like writer's blocky. What do I even do? I often find that when, you know, you're just kind of like blue sky throwing suggestions at your page, encounters or scenes or whatever you call them tend to come off a bit like flat and like one solution kind of a thing. You know, like there's something there's something people want. And there's a monster that for whatever reason can't talk or be reasoned with, and it's blocking their way. So basically, like, this is a scene where you fight that monster, and like that's all there is to it, which is fine. But like, you don't want too many of those. And who knows? You might wind up with a party of combative fist characters. You know, folks who are like good at social problems or more like environmental navigation stuff. And if you have this like this thing that you have to fight, it's no good. So what I like to do is put like a goal, something blocking them from that goal, and then like trying to figure out different ways that they can get around it. That's like your most basic scene structure, I think. And you can kind of like layer this in like what's immediately obvious. So there's a puddle in the forest, on paper's dog walking path. I'll put large puddle. Floating on the surface appears to be some paper. You don't need to go into more detail than that. Missing guy named Paper. People see paper, they're going to want to check it out. You want to telegraph danger. So, but The surface of the puddle is rippling, despite there being no wind. What's that about? That should kind of clue people into there's probably something going on down there. You could maybe even bubbles. The occasional bubble. That works because a bubble could be like a monster lurking in wait, or it could be, the players might think, it could be paper down there, either like breathing through a reed, or like his body could be down there. You don't know. Bubbles is pretty good. Zoinks moment right there. They're going to want to check that out. So when I say dramatic question, you can actually just type it out as a question. That's what I did with my adventure in Relay Watch. And so you do, how will the Fist Mercs retrieve the clue? Guarded by I really don't want to do spiders. What's down there, though? What kind of gross things in a puddle? What about those like those water glidey bugs? What are those called? Like a monster version. Oh, I'm just gonna look this up real quick. Water glidey bugs. What's going on? They're called Gary Days? That's a cute name. Hey, I'm Gary Day. How you doing? Gary Day's a cool dude, if you go out partying with Gary Day, everyone knows him. He's going to get you in good places. Like, he's going to watch out for you, Gary Day, he's 3 years sober. He's designated driver. He knows like all the good places to eat, like the all-night diners and stuff. I highly recommend hanging out with Gary Day. So the Gary Day are a family, according to Wikipedia, a family of insects of the order of Hemiptera, commonly known as water striders. Oh my God, that's a good name. Like, who wouldn't want to be commonly known as water strider? Also, water skeeter, water scooter, water bugs, pond skaters, water skippers, water gliders, water skimmers, and puddle flies. I kind of got like in order of best to worst. I wouldn't want to be a puddle fly. Here they have mouth parts evolved for piercing and sucking, which is cool. Because I was thinking of maybe like some kind of a mosquito, how stagnant water is a breeding ground for mosquitoes. Apparently these dudes are kind of like skeeters, right? Oh, little vampiric bastards. They're freshwater bugs. There's also an oceanic. Oh, we don't need all that. So the important thing is we've got this thing. It's not a spider. It walks on the surface of the water, and it kind of like sucks blood, maybe. I don't know. Also, you can look this up on Wikipedia yourself, or maybe I will add it in post. I doubt it, though. Take my word for it. Their legs are very wooden looking, and their bodies also look kind of like a tree stump kind of a thing. So when I'm thinking, okay, taking further inspiration from the kind of willowy, spiderwebby trees in photo 1. Let me make sure this is, it's still up. So guarded by a giant water strider. How will they do it? That's the question. Now, obviously, giant water strider, I'm not thinking like, it's probably not a way you can talk it out of this. Who knows, though? Maybe someone speaks bug. If they do, you're going to get to play a giant water strider in your game. And how great is that? Now I'm thinking like no bubbles, but like, okay, the surface. Okay, so the water strider is easily mistaken for like a tree. that fell into the pond. Its legs, branches, its body, a broken trunk. It stands in the wide puddle, motionless, waiting for its victim to go for a swim. Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool monster. I'm also reminded of like the giant stick bug from Kong Skull Island, which is a great movie if you want to see some monsters punching each other. And this feels like a pretty good scene now. I am, of course it's kind of like a combat-y thing, but not necessarily. Maybe they just lure it out of the puddle, like lure it away from the puddle somehow, or they mess with the water somehow. Like I would think that a water strider would have difficulty walking on land, maybe not. One thing I'm starting to think is maybe I got to change this whole puddle pond thing. There's got to be something in between a lake and a puddle that's escaping me at the moment. A wide stagnant creek. I don't know. I guess like a pond. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say pond. Yeah. That's kind of what we're going for here, is like this is a little scene. So let's just say, yeah, this is probably going to be combat-y. But however they do it, what is their prize for like making it wait? What do they get from the clues? So the clues are the paper partially cut into dolls, but paper was interrupted. Before he could cut out his small defenders. And that's sad. And now's when I realized that there could be, this would be a glorious gift to your players, there is one doll at the end of the row that's alive. I love playing weird characters. Maybe you don't. Maybe you look at this and think, I don't want to be a paper doll. Fair enough. But I do. And how would a paper doll communicate? Probably like moving its little arms. It communicates by moving its little arms and points frantically towards the east. And again, like this is all inspired by Erin's lovely photo here. I had no idea I would be looking up water striders, making them big, having them guard these clues, but here we go. And yeah, like maybe someone can sneak, they see the paper, and maybe if they're particularly observant or lucky, they can spot the fact that there's this big monster. I would kind of suggest even like you kind of play it off so like it's hiding, but like they know, right? Because the trap that you know about is always more interesting than the trap that just like springs on you out of nowhere. And this most of the time includes monsters too. So just like kind of framing it as like, oh, there's this tree in the water. And as you get closer, you realize it moves slightly, right? Like that's all it takes. And now they know that they probably think it's like a tree monster, not a giant bug, but like that would give them a chance to be like, well, can I try to stealthily, like, crawl on my belly, Metal Gear Solid 3 style, and like grab the papers out of the pond, maybe give it a try, it doesn't have to be combat is the point. And so I think this is a lovely scene, and it directs them to the next scene. With this kind of like 3-scene, one shot kind of a thing. This is essentially what we're building tonight is essentially like a demo game, right? Like you would run this at your local game store. You would run this for your friends who heard about this, right? So you don't need like a super open sandbox necessarily, especially if you only have like an hour or two, or you have like 6 or 7 players. Don't have 6 or 7 players. But if you do, like, things are going to take forever to resolve. Like, how do we deal with, giant tree water bug? That would, with 6 or 7 players, that could be like a 20-minute discussion, right? So the point is, like, it's okay to kind of like link these scenes together and not leave it so this is wide open mystery. If you're just running a fairly straightforward, like demo con game. And maybe next time I'll show how to do more of a sandbox approach. If you want to see what is more of a slightly sandboxy adventure looks like, check out the referee toolkit I made. That has a couple of, especially like Abandon works pretty well because there's like, it's just essentially it's a dungeon and there's like multiple entrances and there's no like set way that anyone has to approach the rooms, which is the beauty of the dungeon format. It kind of like forces a little bit of openness into an adventure. That's not this though. This is very much keeping it as simple as possible. But again, there's like, that's only one of the leads. Maybe if for whatever reason, somebody lights the water on fire or the paper doll nobly sacrifices itself before it can pass on the clue, you could have, maybe glue shows up or something, or there's a scream or something like that, or always listen to players' creativity too. Like one of the players, even before the doll like points, one of the players could be like, I've got an idea of how to get to scene 2. They come up with something there. Maybe they're a druid and they're like consulting with a yes, no question kind of a thing. That's perfect because now they've done something and now they've earned the information. That's kind of how I get people through these sort of one shots is ideally the players are going to proactively uncover the leads, right? They're going to find the path or the tracks or the clues. And then as a safety net, I just kind of like have it there in a less ideal manner. You're not just going to like end at scene 1 and everyone goes home. It's more of like if you do something brilliant or succeed perfectly, you get like a bonus. And then worst case scenario, you're going to get there a little bit too late. You're going to get there noisily. So like bad guys will know you're there. You're going to get there and someone's already opened the treasure chest, that sort of thing. Which is how I would do mysteries too. Anyway, scene 2. We get to look at another one of Erin's lovely photos. Boop. Holy cats, I was pretty stoked for this one. Under the bridge. Yeah, there's a lot we can work with here. Now, so far, we haven't done anything overtly science fiction. There's just a giant bug that could be magical. It could be, toxic waste. It could be whatever. But now that I see this bridge, I am thinking some kind of like Fae problem, right? Especially because in the last scene, we didn't really get anyone to talk to. And now it might be good if we had someone who we could talk to here, right? I still don't know what happened to Paper. What might be fun is to do someone like unrelated to what happened, right? Like this is a bridge troll, but he's just a bridge troll. Like he doesn't kidnap people, he's not really doing something like that. Well, okay. Trolls, what do they do? They ask for tolls. They turn people into vegetable pods with their evil pointed rings. Like, okay, so there's this giant monster bug. There's this little paper dolly pointing this way frantically. Like, you're probably going to show up here in a kind of an amped up in an amped up kind of a mood, right? Looking for trouble. I think it might be kind of fun. If, okay. If it's kind of like a tea party situation. So, okay. A troll sits at a lovely tea party display. She sips from a teacup much too small for her gnarled fingers. When she sees the fist mercs approach, she coughs and coughs and can't seem to stop. That's weird. I kind of like the idea of like, you know, when you see someone coughing, right? Like having a coughing fit while they're eating. I think a lot of people, they want to like, you're not really supposed to do this, but I don't think, but don't take medical advice from this video. But like a lot of people come up and like kind of, you know, like pat you on the back, right? That's my hands. That doesn't sound here. Right? They pat you on the back, they help you cough it up or whatever. I think like that kind of like natural, or like someone sneezes, you say gesundheit. I think it's funny if it's like some kind of like mildly horrifying creature going through these like very human problems. Yeah. Okay. So this is so dumb, but okay. NPCs. Let's see. We have a new NPC and her name is Sriracha the Bridge Troll. Looks a fearsome hairy troll in a lovely summer dress. Wide bonnet with a hat band with a bird. It's a bird skull hat band. Axe. How do you act, Sriracha? If I wanted to go all like kind of like fey, like trickery, I just don't think. Like if this was an elf or something, maybe. I think just like welcoming. She's welcoming. She is also surprised to see fist mercs. What is her secret? We'll get to that later. And finally, oh yeah, what does she want? Okay, this is where we get sinister. Company for her tea party. Forever! Yeah, now we're talking. So, what is the link? What did it? I probably won't know what did it until I get to picture 3. I won't delve into that. But I like the idea that like Sriracha is like not the cause of it, more of like an unrelated third party, but somehow mixed up in it. And that's why I've got it. So Doll points this way, right? And I think the natural assumption from your players are going to be like, this is what did it. This is where the danger is, or at least this is where paper is. But what's actually going on is the doll is saying like, this is where help is, right? Because Sriracha was like maybe a friend of paper. And I like to think that, I'm just going to add that right now. Secret. Tried for years. Come on. Tried for Yar's revenge. To get paper to join her tea party. He refused, but they developed a long and lasting friendship as long as you overlooked the hole, constantly tempting him to become trapped forever in a Fae tea party deal. Right? You know, I mean, come on. Sometimes the friends who are closest to you want to trap you in a tea party forever. I'd probably overlook it. So what's her role? I would say information, you know. Okay, so scene 2. I don't know if I'll keep the cough and cough thing. I think it's a funny introduction. Okay, how about if someone helps her, she'll be more inclined to offer information freely and without sinister traps. Yeah. So I would say the dramatic question here is, can the party get papers whereabouts from Sriracha without having to commit to an eternity of tea parties, to an eternal tea party. If someone sits and agrees to have tea with her, they'll be trapped forever. Welcome to roll up a new character and come back later with a way to save the original. So you could, in a way, like you could, like let's say someone wasn't really happy with their character, or someone had an especially like noble character who wanted to make a noble sacrifice. They could just agree to sit and get the information. Why isn't Sriracha just like upfront about what's going on? There's a couple of reasons, I think. Mainly, she just wants to trap people in her tea parties forever. Let's see here. I think a cute little detail would be seated in, at a glance, empty chairs are little paper dolls. So that's like, on one hand, you're like, oh, did you do something to paper? Did you make him? What's actually going on though is this paper, you know, he just made the dolls for Sriracha, right? Like, well, I'm not gonna be trapped here forever, but here, so you're not alone. Here you go. And he made her some little dolls to hang with. This is kind of cute. This is a lot more like cute than I intended. That's okay though. If you're going to teach your mom how to play Fist, I would recommend this adventure. So far, unless she is deathly afraid of water striders, I might have to get some session 0 on that one. I don't know. I'm kind of like done with this one. So what's like what leads you to scene 3? You know, like what's the transition to scene 3? So what the heck happened? We're about to find out. But if Fist somehow convinces, somehow persuades, I did not intend on spelling Sriracha so many times in one video, to give the information, she tells them, oh, this is creepy. She tells them that's not glue. Creepy AF, people. Evil quest givers, are they good? Are they bad? They're a part of the game, folks. As long as you don't do every person who gives you the quest turns out to be sinister, it's a fine thing to do. Goodness gracious. How many episodic crime series have like the killer calling the police to get, you know, the heat off of them, as it were. Plus, like, okay, so we have kind of like a fey changeling kind of a thing here. Maybe she doesn't even. Maybe she has a picture. She has a picture of paper and glue. Shows it to the group. Or maybe like glue's been dead for a couple of years or something. You know, just something. We'll get to that later. But the indication being it's time to go back and check out what the dealio with paper is. And now we get to reveal the final, perhaps my favorite of these images. I was so happy when I saw this. I was just like, oh joy, look at this. Look what we're dealing with here. This is perfect. Never in a billion years would I have thought of this. What is this, like a pet owl in a garage? Like, I don't want to pry into what liminal spaces RobotLadyErin like traversed to get these photos. What dark dealings she made with the fey creatures in her own wood. This owl is adorable, but it's definitely evil. I'm sorry if this is someone's pet. I would be concerned for my safety, but I'm sure this little sweetie pie cutie muffin has never done anything to anybody except maybe like accidentally scratch a finger with its little toe claw talons. Okay, so we've got an owl. Glue was an owl all along. You should have known. Okay, so glue is an owl. How does that make sense? We're going to find out. How does it make sense? This is the adventure version of writing yourself into a corner. So at what point was glue replaced? What if glue and paper were both taken? They were inseparable. They're one of these couples where they have no alone time. Like if one of them takes up like an art class, they both join, you know? Evil owl guy, what's your deal, buddy? You look pretty brilliant. I'm gonna say that. I'm also gonna say, okay, so he's angry at Fist, thought they'd be safe. Keeps demanding who is to blame, who the players are, or the PCs are, who will find his husband, etc. Yeah, that's called foreshadowing, and it's the mark of a professional level adventure. So in keeping with the kind of like fey kind of a thing, I'm going to say this owl is like, he's like a guardian of the wood. So let's just add this to the old NPCs. So, oh God, he's a guardian of Gahul. What's wrong with me? I'm sorry. I've wasted everyone's time. He's a stern owl. He's got high eyebrows, or highbrows, as I call them. I would say this should be some kind of like aggressive test. I'm just going to say that the guardian spirit wants Fist to test its worth to live in the forest. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Perhaps, okay, so you often see this in these kind of like stories about fey creatures and stuff. There's like a treaty, right? Like a treaty with humans and fey creatures like hundreds of years ago, this like tenuous bargain. So maybe the agreement was like no brokered a truce between humans and fey creatures. No powered people, wizards, or superhuman champions could live in the forest, as that would be considered a sign of war, right? So, like, the idea is, okay, normal people, humans, folks and stuff can live in the forest. Civilians can live in the forest, and the spirits won't mind, right? Because they won't be seen as an act of aggression. But all of a sudden, you've got this guy who can magically animate paper dolls. You've got this other guy who can, like, bond souls and send telepathic messages. The Guardian... let me see here. Maybe the Guardian could have like some cool, like, otherworldly name for them. So the Guardian is like the Puppet Master and the Soul Binder broke the accord. I don't know. I'm translating from OWL. A lot is lost. The Guardian Spirit swept them away to the Fey. Is Feywild copywritten? The Fey holding cell. If Fist can prove their worth, it would be willing to release them. So it's kind of a tricky thing because this is sort of like the last scene. It's kind of like, how am I going to outthink these things? I would say that's sort of okay. Maybe this is more of a light combat kind of a situation. What if there's like 3 trials that are like related to being a good owl? If Fist can pass the 3 tests of the owl, they'll save the day. If not, the owl will turn into a bear and attack them. Yes. This is good stuff. This is quality. And what is an owl's test? We could just call it like stuff owls are good at. So like flight, sight, and night, right? So, trial 1, fly somehow. I would be super like accepting of dumb solutions to these, right? Like if some big old meat shield hit point stuffed teddy bear wants to climb a tree and jump out and flap their wings and land and hurt themselves and be like, hey, I flew. Yeah, they passed the trial. Trial 2, see something far off, something hard to spot, a mouse in a field, etc. This will give, if you've got like a sniper on your team, this would be perfect for them. Something like that. If someone can like consult the runes or like find out where the mouse is, like you're basically just setting up challenges without a set solution, which is how I would approach almost all my challenges. Just no solution. And as I talk, I come up with like possible solutions, but I think it's always good to have like one, like if you don't want to come up with like truly impossible challenges for people, like not even you can think of. Even though players will always surprise you, they outnumber you. You are surrounded. But I like to at least come up with a solution on my own, if only just for fun. So trial 3, night. I don't know. They've got good night vision. This could be like some more of like a combat kind of a thing. Like you have to fight the night. Yeah. So there's a black knight whose armor is forged from the night sky, whose eyes blaze like stars in the cold abyss, whose the night stuff is dark and scary. And yeah, there you go. And we could just say that, like, if you don't want to juggle a bunch of stat blocks, you could just have the owl turn immediately into the night form. If people, I don't know, it doesn't really seem fair. Maybe if you try to like jumpstart and like attack the owl or not attempt the challenge, you wind up having to fight the owl and the knight, right? So it's like a super deadly brawl, which makes sense because like if you've got this talking owl who comes up with a bunch of like owl themed challenges and your players are just like, I shoot the bird, they deserve, my friends, they deserve to go up against a knight and a bear. Because that's not cool, don't shoot birds. And I kind of think we're done. This feels like I could totally run this and get a night's of fun. You know, what's really happening? I'll just type long ago, the fey creature of a white rabbit falls made a deal with humans. Mortals could live in the forest as long as no human champions entered the wood. No wizards, no warriors, no rogues, etc. Commoners are okay. With the arrival of glue, paper, and glue, the pact was broken. The two were taken by the guardian spirit owl while walking their golden retriever. The owl then assumed the form of glue and maybe even like glue made the call and then the owl took over. Either way, it's fine. After and called in Fist to test their champions with the trial of the 3 owl-like thingies you have to do. If the heroes... Now, I guess, why doesn't the owl just like immediately say all this? The owl doesn't... The owl wants to observe how how Fist will interact with the creatures of the forest, water, strider, troll, etc. Yeah, I mean, that's whatever. Fill in the blanks. So I've been recording now for over an hour. Done. Yeah, an hour 18. I will edit this down. And I think that's it, right? So, you start out and there's this very like X-Files monster of the week. Someone's calling you in. There's been like an abduction. The dog is all like upset. Maybe even has like some of Paper's blood splattered on their poor golden retriever fur. The party will follow the trail. They will encounter the pond with the paper floating in it, and like the telegraph that there's like a monster in that pond. They're like, let them know, like as they get close, like the tree moves, right? It's no tree. And that could be however they deal with that, however they find out basically about the troll, then it's on to, this is all the water strider stuff. And then you're on to, scene 2, the troll, and it's this is going to be like a fun. I love like having to deal with immortal a-holes, and like this troll isn't exactly that, but it's very much like this like powerful. Maybe it regenerates like a D&D troll, but like she's not worried, right? Like you're not going to really fight your way out of this one. You're just going to have to come up with some things. And if someone in your group has, artist, I think it is, maybe you can like try to copy someone or something. I don't know how you're going to do it, but somehow you're going to convince this troll either by making a noble sacrifice, which is cool, or like maybe you've got like a bad guy from a previous mission you can like make sit at this tea party. Maybe someone who loves tea parties, and like his dream his entire life has been to like sit at an endless tea party with paper dolls and a troll, and you're like, say no more, I've got just the guy, and you like drop him in a helicopter. Somehow you get to scene 3, and the big reveal this whole time, Glue has been this owl, this guardian spirit assigned to this forest to protect the fey creatures from human champions who would show up and lop off their heads. I think the owl is like especially focused on heads getting lopped off. That's all you people do every time the heads get lopped off. Bonus points if at some point they lopped off a head in this mission and the owls just like called it. And then they're told that, they have to find these challenges, and maybe they do, maybe they just open fire. What do you do for the stat blocks? I'm sure there's a bear inside the fist book. I'm sorry. Have I been covering up oh my God. Okay. So I've been typing and talking this whole time, but I've had this covered. This is an embarrassing situation. I've probably had the text covered for most of the video. That's bad. The good news is, link below, I will have all this text here. Yeah, that's not ideal. As I said at the start of the video, though, I'm rusty. And my text does not matter nearly as much as the lovely photos of Erin, who inspired this whole adventure and was kind enough to release these packs. And that is good. They should be the focus. The pictures should be the focus of this video. If you want, download the text below. Just reference it as we go on from scene 0 to 1 to 3, 2 and 3. Here's all the cool NPCs. Yeah, dudes, I think I'm done. I'm feeling it. I'm liking this. I would love to run this for my friends, and I hope you get to run this for your friends. And so, yeah, until next time, I am Brandoff, the off-brand Gandalf. I still have no idea how to sign off. Please check out Robot Lady Erin's beautiful photography packs just for your TTRPG. If you do any kind of like urban, modern fantasy horror kind of stuff, they're totally good for your games. As you can see, I just took 3 photos, shuffled them together, and came up with an entire scenario off the top of my head. I used 0 random tables this time. Yeah.